the final game of 2025. It's the MLS Cup Final Preview episode of LAFC Plus, episode 84. Hello and welcome again back to the show. He is Mario Ruiz. I'm Dave Denholm. Mario, good to talk to you, buddy.
Yeah, good to talk to you, David. We keep this thing going, and I know the season just came to an end for LAFC just a few weeks ago, but I'm already looking forward to 2026 because it just keeps getting more and more exciting. A lot of news coming out of 2026, player-wise, which we'll get into later on, tournament-wise, which we'll get into later on, and on top of that, the World Cup is coming to LA as well, so a lot of things to look forward to in 2026, and we're just pumped about it. How about you, Dave? How's it going for you?
Doing good. Just want to, touch base with all the fans out there again. We will be kind of on more of a off-season schedule, if you will, a couple of episodes a month, in other words. So starting now in December of 2025 up until kickoff of 26, which is only a couple of months away now, 2.5 months away. We'll do more of a off-season schedule every couple of weeks. So not necessarily every other week, but twice a month, roughly.
Yeah.
Until
Are you
we
sure,
get going.
though, Dave? I feel like we can keep doing this every single week because stuff just keeps on happening. I mean, players are getting signed here and there, and, you never know what's going to happen next. And it's just such a big 2026. I just want to keep this thing going. But I guess we can take a little bit of an off-season schedule. That's fine.
Absolutely. Well, there is one signing we'll get to, as Mario alluded to, of course, Hugo Lloris back in the fold. We'll talk more about that. But also just, it's kind of a reminder, Mario, that, again, there's always tweaking to be done. There are players who leave the club, every now, many clubs facing players who are retiring necessarily, but there's not going to be that much movement for LAFC this offseason, I don't think.
Right.
In my opinion. Like, if you're looking at the roster, I don't know. I'm not talking, sources telling me or anything like that. And every team will, have some movement, of course, and LAFC will likely have some in this offseason, this new upcoming window here. But, I mean, they had locked down a lot of players, right? They already got that business done, essentially. So we are
That's what's exciting. That's what a lot of players are excited about. Ready. That's what I'm excited about. Players coming back, a lot of the core starters. So this is, the stars, the two stars, Sonny and Bawanga, of course, leading the way. So it's going to be, it's exciting stuff.
Which leads us into this first topic we want to talk about today. LAFC now know they'll be in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. We all know that. Fans have known that for, since this last Inter Miami victory over NYCFC in the Eastern Conference Final. So that was the last team that could have, for lack of a better term, knocked out LAFC. But they needed a little bit of help there. I know Mario got on to me. If you're kind of new to the show, we don't beef much. There's not much to complain about between Mario got on me a little bit in the pregame meeting here, and
let's take a behind the curtain. We're trying to kind of figure out a title here for this segment. We're trying to figure out a title. If you're on YouTube,
we have the little titles at the bottom of the screen,
little banner here at the very bottom. Yeah. And we're trying to think of a title, and Dave says CCC with a little help from our friends, and I'm like, I mean, I get it, but it kind of sounds like LAFC don't deserve it, No,
so that's why I was you were all over me on that, though. You were coming down hard. You're like, I don't like it.
I don't like it. Yeah, it sounds like LAFC don't deserve it.
First of all, I wanted you to put friends in quotes, air quotes, right? Because we don't like Inter Miami. They're not our friends, but they did get the victory that ends up sealing our spot in the CONCACAF Champions Cup for next season. And second of all, little is a key word there. A little help. That's all. Because let's face it, if NYCFC or Minnesota won the cup, we weren't going. Right? So we did all we could. We did all we could and still needed just a little help. That's all. Everybody needs a little help along the way. Nobody wins anything in sports along the way, without a little help. So that's all. I mean, we had a little beef about it, but that's fine. I see your point, and of course, LAFC deserves to be there. They're one of the best teams in CONCACAF. They're one of the best teams. Quite frankly, they're one of the best teams in world football. I don't care what anybody tells me. I really believe that, and they belong there. And frankly, we got to go in and we got to win it. You got to go in looking to win it. And I like the fact, Mario, that the roster is very much, while not 100% complete, I'm sure, it's very much not a work in progress either, right? This team's going to be ready to hit the ground running in February for the CONCACAF Champions Cup and then MLS Cup, or, the MLS season, of course. That's a long haul. But you got to be ready, and you got to be ready to win big matches if you're in the Champions Cup right from day one of your schedule.
Yeah.
So
this is high priority stuff, like very, very early on in 2026. We're talking about before the MLS season gets going for LAFC. And I want to see LAFC back in that FIFA Club World Cup. I mean, just straight out, point blank. I want to see LAFC playing against those Chelseas of the world. And this is how you get back onto that world stage that LAFC definitely belong, by winning this CONCACAF Champions Cup. But the thing is, I know some people, some fans, they get it. They love it. They know the importance, the significance of this tournament, the CONCACAF Champions Cup. But some people don't. Some don't understand it. Some don't watch the games. Some don't show up to the games. This is high level stuff. This is an international tournament to decide who is the best club team in CONCACAF, who's the best team in all of North America, Central America, the Caribbean. The winner of this qualifies directly into that FIFA Club World Cup, where you're playing against all the champions from the rest of the world. This is where LAFC wants to be at. You got to win this tournament.
Yeah, it's always been the biggest competition in CONCACAF for clubs, no doubt, in my opinion. It doesn't mean an MLS Cup is less important. Obviously, you got to win that. I mean, that's what you really want as a club. You want to win your country's championship, right? But it's the most important CONCACAF club tournament. And now you add on what Mario's talking about, getting into the Club World. I mean, people don't understand how big that's going to be in the future. It was already huge. It was already much bigger than I thought it would be in this first edition.
Right. Yeah.
And I mean, I guarantee you all the big teams now want to be there after they saw what happened with the finances involved, certainly, but also the way the tournament went. It was a great tournament, really an incredible run. And I don't care if you're a fan of a club that wasn't there, you tried to downplay it probably. Oh, not that big a deal, right? No more competition. We don't need these more. No, you want to be there. In your heart of hearts, you may not be able to admit it to yourself or anybody else, but you know you missed out. Bottom line, once you saw it happen and how it happened. And Mario, I know I'm going to feel terrible if we're not there. We got to get there.
Yeah.
That's it.
The FIFA Club World Cup has gotten bigger, and it keeps getting bigger. And the next one, I can't wait for the next one. But I also feel like the CONCACAF Champions Cup tournament is getting bigger and bigger every year as well. Yeah. As MLS continues to grow by leaps and bounds. And the rivalry continues to grow between Liga MX and MLS teams. Yep. There are some Liga MX opponents that I would love LAFC to match up against here in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. How about another round against Club America? I mean, that would be huge. I feel like that's a rivalry that is growing and growing each and every year as they continue to play in very meaningful matches. How about another round of that? How about a round of LAFC against Tigres, or even LAFC against some of these MLS teams? Yeah. Miami, Vancouver, San Diego. There's some very intriguing matchups that we can see here in CONCACAF Champions Cup, which has me super pumped for the black and gold. And LAFC fans should be just pumped for 2026. Like we said, it's going to be a big year, and it starts off very, very early in February. It's going to be a congested schedule, like a lot of, LAFC, everybody in the office knows. They're used to that. Fans are used to that. It's a very busy schedule when you're an LAFC fan or when you're with LAFC. So it's going to be huge.
Yeah, I agree. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it already. If you're, kind of jumping onto this podcast within the, day or two after we release it, the draw is still upcoming on December 9th, but it'll be here soon enough, certainly. And we'll certainly talk about that in the next episode of LAFC Plus coming up on December 18th is when we release that. But not only off the pitch is it important, like, getting to the Club World Cup, obviously winning a title, winning a trophy, all those things, even the business aspect of it, battling Liga MX teams, the best teams in MLS, all this. But it's also going to be a good way this season to really fast track a new manager's ideas, right? Like,
yes,
this gives whoever the manager is, and as we record this, there's no official announcement. We all, hear rumors. We all, everybody's involved with that. But it doesn't matter who it is. It's more the idea of this is another great competition, games that matter. right from the jump to get right into what a new manager wants to do and really get it really acclimated. I know you're going to do that in the preseason, certainly with a new manager coming in. It's going to be a huge emphasis. It's just not just getting into shape. You better be already into shape.
Yeah.
You're ready, for the season, which these guys are nowadays. But it's more about getting into the shape that your manager wants in terms of formations and the way you're going to play. And I think it's a great way to fast track that into MLS too, because a lot of times we see teams maybe not struggle for as long as they used to, but it's the Champions Cup hangover a little bit early in the year. You're maybe a little more focused on the Champions Cup, to be perfectly honest. Yeah. But these are extra opportunities to really get those ideas across as a new manager and really start playing the way you're going to be playing in 2026.
You know what I'm starting to think, Dave? I'm starting to think about this CONCACAF Champions Cup that recently it's kind of been helping out teams to get their MLS season started on the right foot.
It has changed. Yes, you're right.
Don't you agree with that? Especially Vancouver last year.
Yeah.
I remember LAFC did well also. So it kind of it depends on the team. It depends on the staff, depends on what type of players you have, how ready you are for it. But if you are ready for it and you are prioritizing this, then, it just gets your season going a little bit sooner. So you're ready sooner, and MLS is just another part of it, So I think it could help a lot of teams.
Yeah, I don't know if this is even right, but it's my theory. I think in the past, maybe even 5-10 years ago, teams would, if they made a good run in the Champions Cup, it would hurt them in a sense because the teams weren't that deep.
Yes.
So they had to rotate a lot. They were playing MLS games maybe with a slightly less than ideal lineup. They weren't as deep. Now teams are much deeper, even in the last few years in MLS, that you can withstand that. Even if you rotate, it's not a big difference, honestly.
Right.
It's not just like 11 starters and then like in MLS. These teams are deep.
Yeah.
Especially teams that have done well enough to get in the Champions Cup. There's also that too. You got to be a good enough team to get there. So usually if you're a good team, you got a deep roster. So it's kind of a catch-22 that way. And I think LAFC, Vancouver, as you said, great example, very deep. And even Inter Miami now has gotten a lot deeper.
Oh, yeah.
We'll talk more about them, of course, coming up in the MLS Cup preview. But these are not just teams with 2 or 3 players, 5 players, 11 players, and then it just falls off a cliff, when you have to bring in somebody off the bench.
You know what else makes a difference, though? Also is the travel, because you can draw a team that you need to play in Jamaica or the Dominican Republic or Costa Rica. You can draw one of those teams, which is different than drawing a team, let's say in Mexico or let's say in MLS, where you don't have to travel as far, because that could be helpful for MLS teams.
Unless Inter Miami has to play Seattle, you'd rather go to the Dominican Republic. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are a few notable exceptions, but you're not wrong in general. Yeah, you don't want to be, if you can help it, you'd rather not go to Panama or, even Costa Rica, where not only is it tough travel, maybe it's tough to just go in there and win, so it adds up. Yeah, I don't disagree, but it is another factor, which is awesome, in my opinion. That's what makes the tournament so great.
And remember, LAFC have a huge 2026 ahead. So this is going to be a jam-packed schedule, and it's going to be jam-packed at the very, very beginning, because this first round of CCC is sandwiched right, in between that match with Inter Miami, the season opener, which is in February also. So that's going to be a lot to juggle there. A huge match at the Coliseum, Messi versus Sonny, at the Coliseum in the season opener. And then you also have CONCACAF Champions Cup, which are high priority matches. So that's going to be very interesting to see how LAFC handles all of that.
Yeah, and the draw will tell a lot about that, to be honest with you, right off the bat. Here coming up in just a short time here in December.
Real quick. Quicker than you think.
Can LAFC win it? It's not a question I even think there's the answer, of course, is yes. Of course LAFC can win this thing. They've been to finals of it. It is more a matter of, as I talked about, getting in, getting really up and running quickly under a new manager. That's going to be a factor, I think.
Yes.
Because, again, there could be some growing pains that way. We don't, again, you don't know how that all shakes out a little bit. And if there's additions to the squad, how quickly can they be acclimated to it? Maybe some guys who were banged up at the end of the year, are they back in full strength, or are they still kind of struggling? So there's always questions like that. those are the questions about can LAFC win it. It's not a matter of do they have the talent to win it? Are they capable? Of course. It's more about on the periphery, some of those things that we have to, again, such a unique tournament that it's your first games of the year are not MLS games. If they're actually Champions Cup games that you have to win. And that's a lot of pressure, especially for a team under a new manager and et cetera. But not that it can't be done. Yes, for Sorensen, of course, Vancouver, another example of what Mario was talking about.
Oh, wow.
He comes in and they make a run to the final. So it certainly
and you would
can
think
be done.
Whoever the new manager coming in for LAFC has to know all about CONCACAF Champions Cup, has to know the significance, has to prioritize it, has to know what it's all about, right? I mean, that's big for LAFC this season. So I think that has to be one of the things that the new manager is focused on.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but everybody knows about Club World Cup now, no matter whether they want to admit it or not, even the players. So that's what's dangling out there. Bottom line, yes, of course, it's a trophy that you have to get. The Champions Cup is massive, whoever wins it. But one of the, if you're one of the 4 winners over the next 4 seasons, there's already been one handed out. Yeah. As we get ready for 2020, there's only 3 more opportunities here before that 2029 Club World Cup. So this is it. It's down to we got 3 more chances, and hopefully we'll be in each one. But that's no guarantee either. So when you're in the Champions Cup. I'm getting more tense about it because I'm putting a lot more pressure on the team even as I'm talking. I don't care. That's how big it is, That's
it's massive, yes.
Yeah.
Rightfully so.
Absolutely. So one of the players who will be tasked to be a huge part of that certainly is Hugo Lloris. As we talked a little bit about there, he re-signs, locked in for a couple of more seasons. There's some options, things like that. But Mario, what a great addition to LAFC from the first day he joined. I thought he was very good in 2025. 1.08 goals against average in MLS, 11 shutouts that he was solely responsible for. He actually had to be subbed out of a game where they got another shutout. He was injured. He picked up a little knock. They did have a shutout in that match, so technically not completely his shutout, but participating in 12 shutouts for LAFC in just MLS play, let alone all the other good performances. I thought he was tremendous, Mario, in 2025. Yeah. What are your thoughts about bringing back Hugo Lloris?
Re-upping for another year. I mean, that shows that Hugo Lloris believes in the direction that this club is going. He believes in the core that they have. He believes that there's something special going on, something worth going for another season with LAFC. He wants to help LAFC get trophies, titles. That's something that he wants to do for LAFC. And he's just one of those core players, just another one of those core players that is returning, that we're talking about. All these guys that are returning, he's another one that is coming back for another season. He's a solid rock. He's a leader. He's a leader that LAFC can depend on in the locker room. He has that connection with players. He has that connection with Sonny, of course. Nobody knows Sonny better than Hugo Lloris. He has that French connection with Denis Bouanga. So it's good to have these connections. And he has the respect from a lot of the teammates. We've heard teammates this year talk about the respect they have for Hugo Lloris. Anytime he talks, they stop, they listen because they know it comes from somebody with championship, pedigree, championship experience from all over the world. So this is a big re-signing for LAFC, and for him to say that I want to come back, I want to do this, that's a big thing, and it's a good sign for LAFC because it's a special time. I think it's a year where it needs to culminate into some trophies, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Well, he can be a huge part of that, no doubt. Here's one of the, I picked one play-by-play cut from our calls of save of his. It's not a good play-by-play cut, by the way, but I have a reason for picking this one, and it is very recent, and it's actually in the loss to Vancouver to finish the season, but I'll kind of explain it after I play this. So, 3-man wall. Berhalter instead chips into the back post. Blackman makes a run. Save initially. Still loose on the 6 and cleared by Porteous. How did that not go in? Headed back on that far side. Berhalter chipping it down that wing. Ali Ahmed gets fouled there by Raposo. Blackman still down behind the play on the near side by the goal. He got it. Oh, what a save by Hugo Lloris. Just a brilliant save, keeping it 2-1. as Blackman had gotten there and got every bit of the ball out of the air before crashing into the side post. And somehow Lloris just made a great save and kept it out. Oh my goodness. Keeping it at 2-1, the season's still alive for LAFC. Yeah, that's why it wasn't a great radio call, because we're trying to battle back. This was not like we're up 2-1 late and he makes a huge save. Forget the bad call that I made there. It's more about just such an instinctive save. And not only that, it almost goes unnoticed in a sense. It's such a bang-bang play, and then we see what really happened was Blackman ran into the post, and it kind of distracted me, to be perfectly honest. He was injured, went down for a bit. But the save was so good. I got that replay. Then you hear me kind of seeing the replay, and I'm like, oh, my goodness, what a save. Like, he's just stuck out that hand, so instinctive from Hugo Lloris.
Yeah.
And the reason I like the cut is, look, there's other saves throughout the year, many, that were maybe more like classic goalkeeper, incredible saves and all this out of like a huge shot or something. But it's almost like this is perfect, because I don't think Lloris gets enough credit. And even in that cut, even in the play-by-play cut you just heard, I don't think I gave him enough credit, frankly. I don't think he gets enough credit, Mario, because it's a lot of times it's not even about the saves he makes. It's about the fact that we don't have to make a lot of saves. He is helping that defense organize to the point where we give up so many less shots than other teams do, to where he doesn't even have to make the super 10 spectacular saves in a game. When's the last time he had to make more than even 3 or 4 in a match? Like, it just doesn't happen. Teams just don't get that many chances, and a lot of that is because of the work he does helping the defense well before they need to worry about guys, putting shots on goal.
Yeah, that's that experience that I'm talking about. That experience that comes from all those Premier League games, World Cup, just some of the highest matches you could ever play in this sport. He's been there. He's won those matches. So that's where he kind of seems like he's a coach on the field, and organizing that back line, organizing that defense, and just yelling at guys, and just even getting the offense started. With booting one down into the wing to Bawanga, or booting one on the side, to Sonny. He gets a lot of the offense going as well. So he's just another voice, another coach, another leader that's on the field for these guys. And it comes in handy, especially in these tournaments. He knows all about these tournaments. So when he gets into CONCACAF Champions Cup, that's when you lean on him. When you get into playoff matches, that's when you lean on him. Knockout games, that's when you lean on guys like Hugo Lloris.
Yeah, you're right about that. And they'll be leaning on him in 2026 yet again. So
yes, we will.
It was really about, frankly, it was really just about if Lloris wants to keep playing. You just don't, when you get to a certain age, you never know. A player might say, you know what, time to go hang out with my family more, and maybe I'm done. So we're excited, obviously, that he's coming back.
He wouldn't come back. He wouldn't want to keep playing if he didn't see the future of LAFC.
Oh, I agree.
If he didn't see, wow, we have something special. We have a chance at some trophies. He wouldn't come back. Why? Why would you come back? He sees something. He sees what we see, right? So that's exciting.
Absolutely is. That's a great point, too. Let's head around the rest of MLS. We're about to get to our MLS Cup preview. But first, Mario and I just wanted to take a few minutes here, as the season obviously over now. We've had a few weeks to wrap our head around it in terms of LAFC. What are some of the opponents we wanted to ask? And you can even leave comments if you're watching this on the LAFC YouTube channel. Join us there if you're not. Subscribe, rate, review, all that stuff on all the platforms. We appreciate your support. But what are some of the opponents that impressed you this year, Mario? Not LAFC players. Obviously, we've been talking about them all season, and a great season that so many of them had. But some players that we played against, teams that we played against. What are some of the opponents? Maybe we didn't even play against them this season, but some players around MLS that have impressed you. Obviously, we know the Lionel Messi and
right.
That's clearly. We're talking about maybe guys who don't get a whole lot of run all the time.
Yeah, guys that don't get a whole lot of run, but this one is one that I think should be on everybody's list, and I know it's on your list as well. Anders Dreyer. I don't think anybody even saw that debut season coming from Anders Dreyer in his debut MLS season. He put up 19 goals, 19 assists. That's 38 goal contributions in his first season in MLS. He was the leader all year long in that amazing run, that inaugural season for them, first place season for them. He was the one leading that team. Many thought it was going to be Chucky Lozano, but it was Dreyer that was leading this team. Newcomer of the year, also earned best 11. It's got to be Anders Dreyer. He gave LAFC fits. He gave everybody in the Western Conference fits. The whole entire league fits. So that is a good player right there to look out for in 2026. Let's see if he can do it again.
Yeah, that was my first choice as well.
Yeah.
Honestly, easy pick in that sense. I will say this, it's not because they're a one-man team, but if he doesn't have a good year in 2026, they're going to be in trouble. Like, that's how important he is. Again, not a one-man team by any means, and I expect him to be very good again, so I'm not saying he's going to struggle, but that's how important he was, how great he was for San Diego in the run they made. Here's a player that I just think was, honestly, I think he was being held back by their manager until this season. I really do. I hate to say that because I have a lot of respect for Oscar Pereira. He's a good manager. But Martin Ojeda with Orlando City, I think they just finally kind of took the handcuffs off him and let him go. And he had stats that were very close to Andres Dreyer level, approaching over 15 assists, 15, that's insane to have both. And just the talent that Martin Ojeda has, I thought he really needed to kind of just be let loose, if you will. And they did, to their credit, finally this year in Orlando. But wow, what a player. That is a guy you got to watch. If you haven't seen him play, Orlando still has their issues at times, but not because of him, man. He is just so good. Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. He does it. He does it all. He does the scoring and the assisting, just like this guy that I'm going to mention right now. Evander has been a player that I brought up all year long on this LAFC Plus podcast. And in 2025, he cooked up all year long, bagging goals, racking up assists for FC Cincinnati. He's a finalist for the 2025 MLS MVP as well, just like Dreyer. He's one of the best midfielders in all of MLS. And I think if he would have shown up when it really, really mattered in the playoffs, I think that would have really, really impressed me as well. Maybe that's the next level, the next step for Evander, doing it in the postseason when your team really, really is leaning on you, is counting on you. But what a season he had at FC Cincinnati in 2025. Good player, one of the best players in all of MLS. I look forward to seeing him again 2026.
Yeah, he's a guy, if you're watching a Cincinnati game, you're going to be kind of focused on him, there's no doubt, because he's going to do something. The last player that I have for me, and to me, it's kind of an interesting story in a sense, unfortunately, for LAFC fans, I got to admit, Matias Laborda from Vancouver, a defender. And here's the thing about Laborda. Always been a good player, but I think he's taken his game to a whole new level under Jesper Sorensen. I think LAFC used to kind of, be perfectly honest, he had some moments where we abused him a little bit in the past. And I think he got a lot of revenge and felt that way about this victory in the Western Conference semifinals, because he played incredibly, scoring a goal. It wasn't just about that. I think he was the best player for Vancouver in that game against us in their victory. No doubt, in my mind, he was the best player for Vancouver that night. And he's just taken such steps forward, playing a different position, at times. It's just solid player who keeps working, kind of doesn't make too much of a beef on the, he's not in your face, he's not annoying. He seems like a decent enough fellow, just if you're not playing against him, you could root for him, and I like his play, and I think he's really taken incredible strides. He was always a good player, but LAFC kind of took it to him for a while, and I think he got the better of us this year, if I'm being honest. So I think that was impressive to me that he just keeps getting better.
So we gotta give Jesper Sorensen his props. I mean, he's making players better. He's made that whole team a little bit better.
What did we say on this show about Vanni Sartini?
Yeah,
fine coach, but he had taken Vancouver as far as he could, right?
Right.
And so when we hear about the firing of moving on from Vanni Sartini, I don't know what they call it anymore. Even nobody gets fired. It's always it's a parting of the ways, whatever.
Yeah.
What did we say on this show, people? If you've been listening to us, but if you haven't, we said this was the right move. You never want to see anybody get fired. It's not about that. He's not a bad guy or anything. Of course, Vanni Sartini is beloved. And I think a lot of Vancouver fans were worried because they had reached a level of some success, if you will. But we on this show said, look out, because there's enough talent here. Now, that's not to take away anything from Jesper Sorensen. He had to coach him up, and he has. Mario's right. Sorry, I just had to drop that in.
No, so what I was going to say was, okay, so Laborda, you say he gets better under Sorensen. Sebastian Berhalter as well, another Vancouver player who had a huge year for club and country. He was a big part of the Whitecaps' historic season. He's got them in the MLS Cup Final, and they're not there without Sorensen and without Berhalter doing his hard work all season long. So he does it on the offense. He does it on the defense. He does it for the international team. He just had a goal in the recent international window against Uruguay. So he's in a good spot. He's in good form. He's playing well right now, and he still has a chance to raise the MLS Cup trophy against Inter Miami and Messi. We'll see what happens there, but a big season, big year for Berhalter. Happy to see that because he's a player that, honestly, a couple years ago, his career might have been done. He wasn't really going anywhere. He wasn't doing much. Yeah. So all of a sudden, he's a best 11. So good player.
That's a great shout. A really great shout. I agree. And look, that doesn't mean one manager's bad or, like sometimes it's just time to go, and you got to just get a new, fresh approach and something that will take the club to a different level. Yeah, I mean, it makes a difference in professional sports, and because we're dealing with human beings here. It's like on and off the pitch. It's not all just perfection all the time or what.
That's so true, Dave. You are dealing with human beings. Yeah.
Yes, and and again, Vanni Sartini took them to a certain level because they weren't as good before. He made them way better, no doubt. But like Jesper Sorensen, here's the bottom line too. People will now point to Thomas Muller and like, oh, that's the whole. I got to be honest with you. Vancouver was going to the MLS Cup Final with or without Thomas Muller, as it turns out. I'm sorry. He's a phenomenal player. I'm taking nothing away from Thomas Muller, the player. And you know what? He could go in the MLS Cup. He might win an MLS Cup. He might be the difference.
Yeah.
He was not the difference against LAFC the other night. Right. So, and again, he's carrying a bit of a knock, maybe. Like, it's not. Thomas Muller is awesome, no question. But I think they probably would have been there anyway. That's how
he has come off the pitch in the last two games pretty early.
Yeah, he's struggling. I think he's probably struggling with something, and that again, taking nothing away. But the guy battles, man. Thomas Muller is an absolute legend in this game. One of the best players ever, frankly, and maybe even underrated. if that can be said about a guy who's so well loved and so good, but might even be underrated. But I think that's how good Vancouver's been under Jesper Sorensen. And they were doing great before Thomas Muller. Make no mistake. When you can sign him, you do it. And they did it, and they fit him in perfectly, and he is that good that he can do that and make you better. But I think they would have got there anyway, maybe. That's how good they were going. And that just, to me, that's not a knock on Thomas Muller. That just tells you where Vancouver's headed. It's like,
oh, yeah.
What a team with him now. And much like Son Heung-Min, like we're dealing with is now we get to like prepare for a whole other season with, like now we're really it's not coming in with 10 games to go. Now for Vancouver, they got another game to go though. And that is our MLS Cup preview. Of course, they win the West. Mario, these are the two teams, frankly, that deserve it the most. That's the bottom line. They deserve to be there. They deserve to have won their conferences. That's how good they played. Nothing cheap about it for either one. They fully deserve it, and they are the teams that are, going to battle here in MLS Cup. I mean, obviously, taking off our LAFC love and everything, but as a neutral, this is a great matchup. There's no doubt. Out of the final four teams, if I'm being honest, this is the matchup I wanted to see.
This is a good matchup. Yeah, it is. I love this matchup. I can't wait to see it. Let's see what happens. Of course, Messi and Mueller, those are the headlining stars here. Rightfully so, of course. But like you were just talking about, Vancouver has a full squad of players that have stepped up this year. They stepped up huge, big time this year. Inter Miami also has a full squad of players with experience. They mixed with young talent as well. So, it's not just going to be Messi versus Mueller. And yes, we know that these stars have to show up They have to leave their mark on the game if one of these teams want to have a chance at raising the trophy. But who has the better, supporting cast is my thing. And it's hard for me to decide that. But Vancouver does feel like this is their year. They have that feeling. Wow. They have that feeling. No, Vancouver has that. I'm not saying I do. I say Vancouver has that feeling that this is their year. This is their Cinderella story, and it's not going to end until they raise that trophy. They've done their thing all year long in the Western Conference. Prove me wrong all year long. They're there in the final. At the beginning of the playoffs, I said, looking at the Eastern Conference, who's going to come out of there? I said it's probably going to be Inter Miami. And who are the teams left that can knock out Inter Miami? And I said FC Cincinnati, maybe. But look what happened to them. Yeah. Inter Miami destroyed them on the road. So I said, okay, on the West, it's going to be either Vancouver or LAFC. Those are the only two teams left in the West that can take out Inter Miami. So now here we are in the MLS Cup Final, and it's Vancouver, it's Inter Miami. It's a great matchup. It should be entertaining. I think it's going to be a high-scoring one, actually. I think Inter Miami, you can get goals on Inter Miami. They're going to be at home. That's a big thing for them. But I can also see them going down by a goal early in the match, and then it's on. And then it's a race for who's gonna score last.
Yeah, that could very well be the case. We both know they're both playing confidently, playing well, playing red hot, teams. All that kind of stuff. The biggest advantage for either team, here's where I think the difference is made in a sense. The biggest advantage for Inter Miami is Lionel Messi. I mean, obviously the greatest of all time, and it's such an advantage. Like, there's just no... Thomas Muller is, he's right up there. Like, don't get me wrong, but it's just the way Messi's playing with his teammates and making these guys better, and just how he's just... If he wants something, you can't stop him, and he has wanted this.
Yes.
It's clear. So good luck there. For Vancouver, the biggest advantage to me, Mario, is obviously they handled them in the Champions Cup, but these are two different teams in a way. In some that's so long ago. But Vancouver, it's if they're confident in the midst of a game, meaning when the first half against LAFC, it looked like they were going to win 6-0. Right? They were up 2-0, cruising. Starts to go a little awry for them on some changes by Steve Cherundolo at halftime, and it didn't look like the same team in a way. Like the confidence, not that they were downtrodden because they held on. Let's be realistic. They were down a man late, and then they were down two men later. So they fully, they didn't fall apart. That's not what I'm trying to say, but it's when they're riding high, look out. It's just, if you're into Miami and you feel like Vancouver's riding high, you just got to make sure you don't give up anything. Forget your own offense for a 15, 20-minute stretch if you have to. Just don't let them run over you, in other words, and they can. But if you do that, I think the biggest advantage for Vancouver is penalty kicks. They've been very confident in those. And Takaoka looks confident. The team looks confident. They've had some success in those. Not to say Inter Miami couldn't, of course. You don't want to get that far. You don't want to go to a penalty kick shootout, make no mistake. But if they do, that might be their biggest advantage in terms of trying to win this on the road. You're not trying to play for a draw by any means. That's not a recipe for success. But I think, and to me, if those are your two biggest advantages, then the edge has to go to the home team that has Lionel Messi. It just... That doesn't mean Vancouver can't win this, though. That's where I'm having the issue, Mario, because there are some teams, and you pointed it out, that could not beat Inter Miami. They wouldn't in these playoffs. The only ones that can were Vancouver and LAFC, bottom line, throughout the whole thing. So Vancouver can, but it's I just don't know how you stop Inter Miami offensively for 90-plus minutes. I don't see that recipe.
We're not trying to overthink this, right? It's plain and simple. Messi is the key to this entire match. As good as Mueller is, Messi is the key. Inter Miami is just unstoppable since the playoffs has started. Look at how many goals they're racking up in the playoffs. Yes.
You can't miss.
5 goals in their last match, and Messi did not even score. So that just shows that they're just firing right now. And it's all, it's led by Messi. And it seems like if they need to, he can take it up to another notch. If they need it, he can maybe dribble through and give the assist or get the goal himself. But it just seems like they have another notch that they can take it up to. And that's very scary if you're a team in a final going against Inter Miami. But, which star is going to make the difference on the match? I think it'll probably be Messi. But Mueller, he's played against Messi plenty of times. He has lot of wins. A lot of wins against Messi, 7 wins against Messi, and Messi has 3 wins against Mueller. So very interesting stat there. They played against each other in some big matches too. So it hasn't been, these little friendlies here and there. It's been some big matches, and Mueller has the advantage there. So that's an interesting little wrinkle there between these two. And I know Mueller is also enjoying himself at Vancouver. I do see that a lot, like on social media, interviews after the match. Like, he's all in with this Vancouver Whitecaps team. He's not there just for the ride. He is there, and he's a part of these guys. He's a part of the family, it seems like, already. He's only been there 4 months, you know, and it's kind of like, for me, it's very surprising how well he's gelled with them, how quickly he's become part of the family, part of the guys, part of the group there at Vancouver Whitecaps.
Well, yeah, and I mean, it just tells you everything you need to know about him as a human being in a way. Because he just came, he's ready to go. He knows what he's coming into, hits the ground running, and they don't miss a beat. In fact, they're, obviously a better team with him. So, like, he's just that good. And so you're right. It just tells you all you need to know about him. And that's, which is not a surprise. That's what we've seen his whole career and his whole playing career. He's just amazing. These guys, look. Again, if you're a neutral, it sucks that your team's not there, right? Make no bones about that. Like, I'd much rather be seeing LAFC there. That's what we want. That's what we feel like we should go after every season. We should be there. But from the neutral point, once your team is eliminated, man, I don't know how you can't love this matchup. Just, gosh, it's got everything.
And something that I saw on Apple TV from Sasha Kleshtin, I was watching as we were preparing for the podcast. I remember that he said that Vancouver lost their decision day game against FC Dallas. And if they would have won that game against FC Dallas,
that's true.
That they should have won. They should beat FC Dallas. If they would have won that match, they'd be hosting this MLS Cup final against Inter Miami at BC Place, which would make a whole lot of difference.
Oh my gosh.
We know how much home field advantage
doesn't
is.
matter.
Don't tell me that.
Again, Mario and I have been talking about that on this show for a long time. And every other show we've ever done. Don't tell me the regular season doesn't matter. And that came down to decision day, which makes it more dramatic, but it's still points in the regular season somewhere you could have gotten that you had been hosting. You're right. It's just fine, razor thin margins now that make all the difference. All right, bottom line here, Mario, who do you got? Who do you got in this game?
With all that said that we just broke down there, it's still all about Messi. I think Messi, if he does what Messi does, I think it's Inter Miami that lifts the trophy at the end of the day. The interesting thing is that Mueller there does have those numbers against Messi, but I don't know if Mueller is at his 100% to pull it off in this one. And I know Vancouver does have that Cinderella story going this year, but is it enough against Inter Miami at Inter Miami? I think they have an uphill climb. I'll say Inter Miami in this one, in a good, high-scoring, entertaining, fan-friendly style match.
Interesting.
How about you, Dave?
I'm going. Look, nothing will shock me out of this game. That means both teams are great. Both could do it. Like, nothing, no final score would be like, oh my goodness, like, I can't believe that team won. No, Vancouver certainly can win. I have to go with Inter Miami, and I'll tell you why. Much of what Mario just said, no doubt. But also, Vancouver had a final earlier this year they were in. Different teams, I get it. But I think they're going to get run over again. They got ran over at Cruz Azul 5-0 in a CONCACAF Champions Cup final. Now, there was some issues there. We don't have to revisit that. Who knows? Maybe they weren't feeling well. Whatever. Bad excuse. I don't know. Doesn't matter. They're going to get run over again in a final. How weird is that going to be? You're a team that has such a good season, and yet you get drubbed again in a final? Like, that is wild.
Miami was in a final earlier this season too, though, right? Earlier this year.
Well,
Miami was in a final against Seattle Sounders in League's Cup as well, and they lost that one.
One of them's going to lose 2 big finals in 1 year, so which is amazing. That's how good the teams are. That's consistency, though. Like look, you can lose a one-off game. You can get blown out in one. It doesn't, that doesn't mean you're not a good team, of course. Still, look, I'd rather get to finals. Get me to every final, and I'll take my chances on winning or losing at that point, right? Like, you're a great team if you can. But I got a feeling like Vancouver is going to get beat up in this game, and that's weird, man. 2 finals that just don't go your way, like, badly. Could be very
that's
interesting.
Gotta hurt.
And they're not that bad of a team. They could win. I mean, again, this is not going to shock me, but my pick is Inter Miami kind of runs away with this and just continues their playoff trend here. So, well, we're on to the offseason schedule, as we said, for this podcast. Every couple of weeks now, our next LAFC Plus podcast is going to be December 18th.
But look at us, Dave. We're like in our tip-top shape here. We're going on like almost 46 minutes of this podcast. It's one of our longest podcasts here, and there's no season 45,
baby. Yeah, we're in the stoppage time of the first half, no doubt. No, our next one does come up December 18th, so we'll be rested and raring to go with plenty to talk about then. Join us. Spread the word. We appreciate it. Check us out on social media. Mario, where are your socials at?
I am Mario Ruiz, Mario Ruiz on Instagram, X, and TikTok. How about you, Dave?
Very good. On X, @Talk Soccer. On Instagram, Dave_Denholm, just spelled like my name. We'd really appreciate all the support. Keep joining us each and every time, every episode. Episode 84 in the books. Mario, take us out of here, brother.
Yeah, I'm ready for 2026 already. It's going to be a big next couple of days here with the World Cup draw coming up and the CONCACAF Champions Cup draw coming up. So the next episode of LAFC Plus is going to look a whole lot.
Plenty to talk about.
And excitement, a lot of info, a lot of stuff to talk about. That's Dave Denholm. I'm Mario Ruiz. We'll catch you on the next LAFC Plus. Peace.